Cinnamon, episode 82. We are back, man. We are back with yet another episode of Cinnamon featuring that tasty twosome, myself and Douglas. Listen to the smooth onomatopoeias of, of Douglas Davidson.
I hope you were wearing headphones when I just nom into your.
This whole episode is going to be like Doug just licking on that earlobe all episode. Just think about it. And I'm going to come back to it every once in a while just to keep that image fresh in your brain. We are back with another episode for you, man. Our first episode, the Oscars have come, they have gone. Movies were awarded, movies lost, movies were respected. Warner Brothers had their little 100 years montage. It was things happened, man. I was a fan.
And I didn't miss much. I was working that night. I came downstairs and I went, huh, movies. Yay.
Yes.
I was there for the memoriam and they left out a ton of people. What the hell?
Yeah, wow. I'm pretty sure they leave out a ton of people every year.
So, yeah, but there was a QR code this year. If you didn't see the full memoriam, check our QR code. Hey, nothing says class like a QR code.
Scan this code and get this website hits in. I was at the Independent Picture House with Chris Baker,
that's right.
JM, a couple of the people out there. Well, actually, a lot of people out there, man, all dressed to the nines, tuxedos and such. It was fun times had by all, man. Both theaters.
I saw some photos that IPH posted. It looks like they had sponsorship and all kinds of stuff going
on. Sponsorship, man. We had some nice heavy snacks, free drinks. Well, not free, pay for a drink.
Well, you and Baker were there. Of course, they had snacks.
Michael Loving also in attendance as well, man. It was fun times had by all. I was debating on going to the Viz Art one because I was assuming Michael was going to be at that one. I was like, nah, I'm going to go to IPH, and he popped up at IPH, and I was like, all right, cool, best of both worlds. It was fun times, man. We were the rowdy theater, and there was a much more classy theater across the hall there, where no fun was happening at whatsoever. But yeah, fun times, man. You missed an Oscar ceremony that was exactly what you thought it was. Awards were awarded. Do you got anything to say on the winners before we actually get into this business?
The one thing I will say is that I was excited that Not Too won original song. That's I would have loved for RRR, as we've discussed with the awards chat. If you haven't checked those out, everybody, please go back and check those, because I thought we had some pretty interesting and coaching discussions about the different categories and the nominees. I would have loved to have seen RRR in more categories. It wasn't, so I was delighted that it won for original song, if only because my youngest loves it so much. And now I can say, would you like to listen to the Academy Award winning Not Too, instead of just asking him if he wants Not Too. So,
he's probably like, you could have left out the Academy Award winning. Let's just listen to the song. We could have already been 2 seconds into the song by now. But yeah, it was it was fun times, man. Fun times. Congratulations to Everything Everywhere for winning all sorts of stuff. I did not see All Quiet dominating quietly below the line categories. That was very nice for it. I'm quite happy.
Not hating on it. That score was incredible. I forget if it won for score, but that score is incredible.
It did indeed win for score, and I was a very happy man. Very happy man. I had something else, but forgot it. Yeah, that was my number 2 score for the year. That's what I was going to say, right behind The Batman. I had a good time listening to that score. Revisited it the day after the Oscars, and it still slaps incredibly hard.
To be clear, Batman or All Quiet?
Both, actually. I listened to both of them the next day.
I have not listened to the score for All Quiet separate from the film. I imagine that would be intense, kind of like Dunkirk might be. 1917, I've listened to separate from the movie. Because you don't like put on the movie to listen to the score. You put on the movie to either watch and or listen to it, depending on what the film is and what you're doing while you've got it on. But 1917 is a really great score to write to when you're writing about a thriller or something intense. I imagine Dunkirk would be as well because of that tick, 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 tick that's
I
running
don't
throughout.
remember that the
But
ticks
the
is
intensity
actual.
of that wah, wah, that keeps happening
Mhm.
in All Quiet, that's, I don't know if I could just relax to that and have it on. Whereas at least with the Batman's got these different tones and different feelings that go through it, where that's also been a great work score.
Yeah, man, I was productive as fuck when I was listening to that all quiet joint, man. Like I was I was up against the ticking time clock, and I had to get this shit done. Thanks, all quiet, for making me Germans, man. They're efficient motherfuckers, and they made me an efficient motherfucker that day. Um, it's been a little bit since we had a good
Yeah.
old regular cinema episode. What have you seen recently, sir?
Well, I've seen quite a few things recently. I'm going to get through a couple of them quickly.
Mhm.
Because we were talking about score, I feel it's worth mentioning. I did a rewatch of Babylon for the home release, and the parts that work for me still very much work for me. The parts that don't still very much do not. But one thing I do want to throw some credit to is Justin Hurwitz's score for that. I fucking love particularly how it has these little nods to La La Land, that
Mhm.
score, where Hans Zimmerman will reuse pieces like the he's a pirate theme from Pirates of the Caribbean shows up in Gladiator, and there's other things that will repeat themselves in other stuff, which some have said, well, that's just reusing material. With Babylon, it feels very specific to the theme of the movie, where La La Land is very hopeful and optimistic. Babylon is far more realistic,
Mhm.
and so it's sort of, it always gave me a chuckle when that music would pop up. But if you're interested in the home release, be advised that there's like a minute and a half thing on the score. There's maybe a 2 minute thing on costumes. Everything else is in a 30-minute featurette. And honestly, there could have been more on each one, particularly because what you get in the larger one is more or less the same thing in the smaller ones. But it is out on home video. The 4K is beautiful in both look and sound. So if you're a fan of that, it hits shelves on the 21st. So you can go ahead and pick that up. Another one that's also available right now came from Shout Factory and G Kids Films, Giovanni's Island, Mizuo Nishikubo from 2014. This was a film that won the Satoshi Kon Award at the Fantastic what was it? No, Fantasia International Film Festival 2014. It is finally getting a physical release in the States thanks to Shout Factory. It's a film that is about 1945 in an island in Japan where Shikotan, excuse me, the island of Shikotan, where right as World War II is ending, a whole bunch of Russian troops show up and take over the island. This is based on real events. Okay. But you end up following these two boys who are trying to make the best of their lives. They're on the island. And then as things escalate, where the Russians take over more of the island, how these boys more or less maintain their positivity, their innocence, or trying to deal with the lack thereof anymore. It it is a film that, while animated, uses different forms of animation in it so that it always feels a little new and fresh depending on the type of moment that is happening. If the children are using their imagination, if we're seeing just a landscape of something, everything sort of shifts and changes depending on the mood, and would recommend it. It's been out since February. I finally had a chance to watch that. Coming to Criterion on the 28th is they describe it as a romantic comedy. It is not at all a comedy, but it's from 1979 originally, re-released in 1982 under a different title, the title being Chilly Scenes of Winter by Joan Micklin Silver. It's an adaptation of a book of the same name, but it's John Hurd as a guy named Charles who is bemoaning the end of a relationship that ended a year ago. A woman named Laura, who he had we'll call it an affair with. She's married, but she was on the outs. The two of them dated, and she went back to her husband, and he's struggling with that and trying to figure out how to get her back. Except he's a massive chode. He is such an asshole. He is the nice guy,
Oh
and the whole
boy.
movie, yeah, the whole movie is advertised as a rom-com, a romantic comedy for all seasons is apparently the tagline. It is not a rom-com. And if you know that, while it does have funny moments, and John Hurt is very good in it, it feels like something that would have been made today to talk about narcissism, love bombing, um, aggression, toxic masculinity, all of these kinds of things. So it's ahead of its time. It is not a fun watch, but it is a good watch, and it comes out on Criterion. Last but not least, just because I know that Dare would like me to move this along, I would like to mention that one of my favorite films from 2019, directed by Lee Von Keat, is getting a sequel called Furies. It is coming to Netflix on November 23rd. It is directed by Fury, the film from 2019. The lead actor, Veronica Nago, she's taking over in the director's chair. This is not her directorial debut. She has directed other films, but she is directing this film, Furies, and it is a prequel to the 2019 Fury. And it is connected to that world in a way that, quite honestly, bums me out. I did not like with what the story was doing and the way that it went into it. It did not work for me. It I struggled with that, but I did like with the overall idea of the darkness of this film, whereas Fury was dealing with the light. Furies is dealing with very much the darkness. So if you're in the mood for some Vietnamese martial arts, it's got action, it's got drama. Content warning: there is depictions of, though not graphically, of sexual assault and sexual violence. So be advised of that. But if you enjoyed Fury, if you want a good action flick, it's not going to be in the John Wick vein of stuff. I've heard great things about John Wick 4. Uh, it'll get you through. It'll get you through until you can get to it.
There
So
you
there you
go.
go.
Fury. I feel like I had that on my list of things to check out for the action movie list, and for some reason, I don't know if I accidentally took it off or what the case was. I will need to add that back onto the list. Though, where can you find Fury? Is it yeah, rent it
Fury for
somewhere?
a while was on Netflix. I wouldn't be shocked if they put it back on. There was a physical release from Wellgo, so it is available. And if you struggle to find it, let me know. I'll lend it to you. It is available for purchase. I imagine you could rent it digitally or purchase digitally, but it is Furie Fury,
Yep, it's
and
still on.
with
It's wait, what? Wait, what? Furies is there.
Furies is the sequel that's about to hit.
Fury, also on Netflix, is something completely different. Strangely enough,
Is it IE or with a Y?
i.e.,
Yeah, then I don't know.
people's is strange. All right, right on
It
then.
was there. They may have just lost the ability to do it.
But I don't need to watch Fury to watch Furies, do I? Or would you
No, no,
recommend
no,
it?
no, no,
No. Okay.
no. They're not connected in a way that will require you to know things. But there's something that happens in the prequel that if you know Fury, you'll go, oh,
Okay. Right on.
yeah,
Right on. Okay. Cool. Uh, you got anything else?
I do, but I'm not gonna.
Cool.
They're my secrets.
Okay, well, you keep your secrets to yourself, sir. I finally got around to checking out Creed 3. Very dope movie.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's the conversation started kind of sailed ship on that, but Michael B. Jordan is great in his directorial debut. There's some little bit of slowness there in the second act. Things kind of fall apart for me a little bit there. Comes back strong. You're just kind of waiting to get to the big third act at that point. There's a storyline that just kind of goes nowhere. It just kind of gets lost in the
What,
shuffle of everything else
what
with his
storyline?
with his daughter. Unless there's some stuff going down, but it's kind of like they introduce this thing at the beginning of the movie and they kind of touch on it a little bit there, and then it just fades for the remainder when Michael B. Jordan's character kind of shows his true colors, as it were. That whole storyline is just kind of dropped, unless they are planning on doing something in the future, a la the oft rumored Kill Bill 3. Then I would be cool with seeing more of that down the road. But yeah, as far as this movie, that's the it got towards the end, and I was like, wait a minute, what about that whole thing going on there? It's kind of moved on and hand waved past that. Everybody's on top of their
You
game.
just gave me an idea for something. I'm gonna wait till you're done, and then you just gave me a brilliant idea. I'm gonna pitch it, but I'm gonna asterisk right here so I don't forget. Go
Oh
ahead.
boy, oh boy. Yeah, everybody's on top of their game. This is tough and doesn't have a whole lot to do. This is really about the story of Creed versus whatever Jonathan Majors' character's name there, which I cannot think of off the top of my head.
Dame.
Dame, yes, yes, Damien. Good, great final fight. You can see where all the anime inspiration you've been hearing about online comes from. There's some shot for shot stuff in there. He put his love of that genre of storytelling in there in combination with just dynamic camera work all throughout. Like obviously you go, you're just sitting and waiting for that final confrontation, and how he presents that final confrontation does not miss. Incredibly well done,
Yeah.
man. Dopeness. Speaking of dopeness, also John Wick. Oh! And oh boy, when I got home, I had to rearrange my 100 action movie list that I'm working on. Like, sorry, something's coming off because John Wick 4 is coming right the fuck on this list, and it's way high up there too. It is the best of the John Wicks, I think.
Okay.
Um,
That's it. That's because the first one is phenomenal.
yeah, it just barely edges out the first one for me. And the first one's kind of like the most grounded one, right? Like it just kind of makes sense. Dude's on this vengeance spree because he fucked with his link to his wife. And that's it's very grounded. It makes sense. And the second one, when you start adding in all of that lore and you find out that everybody in the state of New York is an assassin, it kind of loses me as it goes on. Three
No,
was
no,
the
just on the path John Wick is on, everybody's an assassin. Everybody outside of that path, not an assassin. Just within view of the camera.
but he's on a lot of paths in these movies. And when they announced the runtime for this movie, I was like, this has got to be the last one, man. Or it's almost 3 hours long, and it has a soft ending that could very well be the last one. It's just dope,
Interesting.
man. It's just dripped and drenched in cool. It's just so cool, man. There is it's faux pas to talk about Oscars right after we have the Oscars. But my first thought is like, if this doesn't get nominated for cinematography and production design, then it is a grievance that I will have with the Academy of Arts and Sciences. It is a beautiful movie, and it looks like who's that? Stahelski put like every
Mm-hmm.
ounce of oomph. Like he knew he was going out. He wanted to go out on the highest high that he could. Donnie Yen is cool as fuck in this movie. It gives you that like, why the fuck are we just now getting Donnie Yen in this series type of deal? Hiroyuki Sanada not in there for as much of time as Donnie Yen, but he's also dope. Ken Reeves also dope. Scott Adkins is unrecognizable in this movie. It's just all great, and your boy Pennywise is a pretty good villain as well. It's just dopeness all around it. I cannot wait until this hits theaters so I can go watch it again. I will gladly sit through this almost 3 hour movie again because it's my number one for right now.
The fact that it had a secret screening at South by Southwest, had screened for the press, particularly in North Carolina, which they don't always do, early, and they've done other screenings, and this movie doesn't come out until the 24th. They know they have a hit on their hands.
Mm-hmm.
They fucking know.
They
Like
know.
their screening is so early to not only get general buzz, but also the critical buzz going. I hate all of you. I couldn't go to the screening. I was booked. I just God, I
Decisions,
am
man.
jealous.
And I moved some shit out. I was like, I was gonna do something else, and I was like, put that shit right on hold. I'm going to see John Wick. Damn it. And I was glad that I did. That's one that yeah, it's gonna stick
Good.
with me. Stick with me all throughout this year. That will be on my top 10 somewhere. I can't wait. Can't wait to see where it falls, man. Let's see what topples it from the number one spot. That's all I got. I've been rewatching some other things for some other stuff I've been doing. So those are the only two movies I'm going to talk about. Now, what is this idea that you want to pitch?
Okay, so and I didn't think about it until you'd made the comment about whether or not the Creed series was going to do some Kill Bill Volume 3 type stuff with the daughter, right? And have there be a story with the daughter branching off of the Creed series. Now, first of all, to that, I say, I see your point. I didn't really think about it until you brought it up. I always thought that the issue with the daughter was more about what we were passing down to the next generation and therefore feeding into Adonis's inability to communicate. He'd rather teach her how to fight than talk to her about what is creating the need to fight, kind of thing.
Yeah,
So that was my thing. But
I agree
but
with that, but we didn't really get a
we
decision
don't.
on his end. Yeah,
We don't. I agree. I agree. We don't. Other than seeing the two, him teaching her, starting to teach her how to fight, and being like secret from mommy. I agree. From that moment on, we don't really get anything else from it. And you're right. It does feel like a loose thread now that I think about it. But Tarantino's next movie, theoretically his last, if he keeps to the whole 10 film thing, is called The Movie Critic.
yes, it is.
His movies have been, and I think we did an entire episode on this, or we did an episode on universes within movies, cinematic universes within movies. And one of them is Tarantino, where some people like to speculate that the Kill Bill movies happen within our movies within the Pulp Fiction universe, in which what's her face is the bride in the failed TV show that got picked up as a movie or something like that. So that's not my area. I'd have to go talk to Crystal. But what if the movie critic is Kill Bill Volume 3? What if that's like a backdoor thing where the movie critic is watching Kill Bill Volume 3?
That'd be wild. I don't think that's the case, but if it is the case, then I would. There's something that Cameron said, like maybe a year before Avatar 2 came out, and that quote still hilarious to this day, and is still stuck with me. He said, if you go see Avatar 2 on the big screen, you'll shit with your mouth wide open, is what he said. And if we get that, if the movie critic ends up being Kill Bill 3, I will indeed shit with my mouth wide open.
Okay. You got censored by my audio.
Okay.
You went to tell me James Cameron's quote, and you went, he said they will, and you froze.
At the worst possible time, or the best possible time, depending on how you look at it.
So he said, please continue.
He said, if you watch it in theaters, that you will shit with your mouth wide open. If you remember that quote from a while, it was a while before the movie came out, and
Feels very South Parkian.
Me and a buddy use it as a running gag for a while. If the movie critic ended up being Kill Bill 3, when I was in theaters, I would be shitting with my mouth wide open if that was the case. Yeah. You know what? I will stump for this theory. So I will stump for this theory.
No, I'm just, some people have been saying that the movie critic would be another sort of historical piece like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but about Pauline Kael, the very well known and storied author, Pauline Kael, movie critic. And then someone went, yeah, but what do her feet look like? Which, well, a joke on Tarantino. What if you're dealing with the movie critic, there's got to be a story there, and he likes to play with things. He rewrote history twice in his films, once with Inglourious Bastards, and then another time with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Some would say in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, he rewrote it regarding Bruce Lee, and he rewrote it regarding other things. So who's to say that he wouldn't have a movie in the background that's being made for a movie critic to destroy or laud? No
there
idea.
You go. If it's Tarantino, it's going to be laud. Best believe that. Yeah, if he does go in that vein, it's not going to be just about Pauline Kael. It's Pauline Kael, I would assume, is a character in these extraordinary circumstances that happen. Is how I assume that he's going to play that up. But interesting to see.
It's going to be Margot. It's going to be played by Margot Robbie, and
Wouldn't be
she's going to go to a
surprised.
movie and then just put her feet up.
put her
I
dirty ass
feel
feet up for
like
2 hours, and we're gonna see Kill Bill 3 like reflected in her sunglasses as she watches the movie the entire time. Like, you want it, motherfuckers? I'll give it to you, but not how you want it. Right on, man. Are you ready to get
oh,
down?
that you're saying that's the whole movie,
Yeah, that's what I'm
sir,
saying. That's the whole
theater,
movie. Yeah.
and you're watching it on with sunglasses.
Yep. That's exactly what's
Well,
gonna
I
happen.
guess it's better than watching Inception on an Apple Watch. All right, let's do it.
Oh, poor Nolan. All right, then, man. We're here. Today's topic, man. We're talking about celebrating movies getting kind of long these days. Some movies, you just need that length to tell. John Wick famously, just a couple minutes shy, maybe like 15 minutes shy of a 3 hour joint, does not feel like it one bit. So we figured this would be a great time to talk about some of our movies, our favorite movies that are at least 180 minutes in length. I'm certain Doug
Oof.
will, as usual, give his ridiculous list of movies. I would like to apologize in advance to the good, the bad, and the ugly, which is director's cut is 60 seconds shy of 3 hours, 179
That's
minutes.
that's just like one or two.
Right? There's like
Like,
two cuts to Clint's face is all he had to put in there, and he could have made the
come on,
list.
you couldn't do it. You couldn't do it. That's weak sauce.
It's weak
That's weak
sauce,
sauce.
weak sauce. And knowing Sergio Leone, who knows what he cut out to get down to 175 minutes. But yeah, we could have had Lee Van Cleef frowning at a rock for a minute, and I would have been a-okay with it. So, sir, what are some of your examples of 3 hour long movies?
Oh, I'm not even gonna, because like this going, man, this whole assignment, because
Man.
my thing is this, man, um, a movie should be as long as the director thinks it should be.
Yeah.
Okay. However, subjectively, I think a movie should be as much as it needs to be. And
Yeah.
sometimes that means you've got some long ass movies that could do with a little bit more editing. So, really, I think has to do with how one feels. Because I watched some 90-minute movies and gone, are we done yet?
Yep.
Whereas, whereas I've watched some 3 hours or longer films and gone, why are we done now? I would
Mm-hmm.
like more of this, please and thank you. Uh, so I mean, we're talking about movies like Dances with Wolves and Gone with the Wind. I didn't put together a list this time because I was studying all of these things and I was just like, ah, all of these long ass movies. Drive My Car. There's all of these films. Some of them are really great. Some of them are award winning. Very few of them, when particularly in compiling my own list, did I go, which of these would I go, all right, I'm in a mood for X, and not go, ugh, but the length.
Mm.
Like sometimes I do that, even with one that's on my list, I'll do that, but it's only because I don't have the time to appreciate it, as opposed to it's just super damn long. So, yeah. So yeah, I'm not doing it this time. You get no list.
Sounds great. What's your first pick, sir?
I went with a movie that I was actually just sort of talking about right then. With it's a movie that I want to rewatch so desperately and can't, because it is so good and I want the time to just sit and watch it in one go. I've talked about it so much last year. I'm sorry to be talking about it again. SS Rajamouli's RRR. You wanted me to make a list of my three top. This movie is fucking phenomenal. It's like a Stefan sketch as a movie. It's got bromance, it's got action, it's got taking down capital the patriarchy.
Yeah.
It's got hair care products, it's got animals ripping off people's faces. Uh, it's got firefights in forests. It's got cannons exploding castles. It's got fucking everything. And like, we were talking about Not to earlier on. What I love about that sequence is that it's also significant to the movie as a whole. It's not there just because we need a musical sequence. It is highlighting the friendship between these two, as one is getting bullied, the other one is like, all right, we need to school these clowns.
Hmm.
And so they do the dance, but then those last moments, the two of them are in fierce competition with each other, and dude throws the whole dance because the girl's yelling for him.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I'm gonna be a wingman. I'm here to make him look good anyway. I'm gonna throw this. Like everything that happens in this movie, when I say it happens for a reason, I mean every movie does, but it's all about building towards the next emotional beat, and it builds so beautifully that you don't even realize it's going so long. At least it doesn't for me. So this is absolutely on my list of, if I had to pick a favorite, whatever, this is on it. And it's not just recency. The movie is amazing.
Good movie.
So that's my first.
Good movie. All right, then. Right on. Right on. First one on my list. Uh, Hateful Eight.
You forgot.
Yeah, going Hateful
Ooh.
Eight. I am a fan of this movie. I just realized the other day that Netflix took it down. They had the 4-part joint. It is no longer up there anymore. The episodic
Oh, the
version.
Road Show.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Where they took it and broke it down into 4 episodes is no longer
Yeah.
there. It's gone, unfortunately. Which is the even more extended version. I love this movie, man. It is fairly decently placed on my Tarantino movie list. It's we're getting Samuel L. Jackson. Just the man was born to write Tarantino's script. Walton Goggins is just such a wonderful addition to. I guess it's his second time because he's in Django, if I recall correctly. I think he's somewhere in Django.
Oh, if he is, he's probably one of the slave owners.
Yeah, most of the white people in Django are slave owners.
No,
Yeah,
I just mean because it's Walton and his accent.
right, right. I loved every bit of Walt. Just his whole character arc is, I think, hilarious to watch. Jennifer Jason Leigh, wherever he found her at, excellent addition to this cast. Her whole relationship with Kurt Russell is just fucking wild. Kurt Russell himself is wild. Michael Madsen in there for maybe a coffee and a half. I'll give him that. The story itself is absolutely wonderful. I think Channing Tatum is wildly miscast in this movie, but still, just the story
I don't
itself
remember
is.
him being in it.
He's Jennifer Jason Leigh's brother, man. The whole reason they're all there at that joint is to waylay Kurt Russell to get Jennifer Jason Leigh back. And that's why the whole
No, I know
premise.
that. I just didn't remember Channing was in this.
He's
Interesting.
underneath.
I know the plot. I've seen
Yeah.
it. I actually have a question. After reading recently an interview with Goggins, it's either with him or about him. I have a question for you when you're done talking about the movie. I just forgot that Channing was in it.
Yeah, he pops up. He's not anywhere in the marketing. So when you just see
Yeah.
him in the movie, you're just like, holy shit, Channing Tatum's in this. Is like Bullet Train. You're like, what the fuck is he doing in this movie? But yeah, it's a great movie. I think it is well deserved its length. It reads like the play that he kind of initially wrote it as, because it is just a one and a half location movie for the most part. It is to have a 3 hour long movie itself is exhausting, and to have it all set in one location is it takes a lot more skill to pull that off and keep it interesting.
That's right. I forgot this came out in 2015. It hit theaters around the time that my mother-in-law passed away. So there's like a couple of months where just like time was weird.
Yeah, Christmas Day. I dipped out of Christmas with the family early to go see this movie.
There you go. There you go.
Around my last gift, and I was like, I'm not needed here anymore," and scurried out the door with Christmas wrapping still fluttering behind me. What's your question, sir?
So if memory serves, it's Walton Goggins and it's Sam Jackson, right? They're bleeding out.
The end.
And
Yes,
they're the last two remaining.
they're the last two. They hang Jennifer Jason Leigh, and they are the last two. Supposedly
Do you
die.
do you believe that Walton Goggins is the sheriff
Oh yeah. Oh
that
yeah.
he claims to be?
Yeah, I totally believe, because there's nothing to hint at otherwise. There's nothing to say he's not the sheriff.
According to an interview, the only person that knows if he's the sheriff or not is Goggins. Tarantino told him. Tarantino told him when Goggins asked, "Does he is he actually the sheriff or is he just bullshitting? Like, is he just trying to make the best of a situation and trying to survive? Da 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 da. Tarantino's like, you decide. Don't tell me.
Okay.
I was just curious.
Yeah, I think there's nothing there that he would have to know a whole lot of shit in order to pull that confidence on people. So yeah, an interesting idea, but nah, he's the sheriff, man. He's the sheriff.
Okay.
What's
I
your
would need to rewatch it to find out, and I don't have a lot of 3 hours available,
mm,
but I would like to because it's one of my favorite Tarantino films. It is a film that I want to rewatch. Whereas, like Inglorious Bastards, I got it. I'm good. I'm fine. Kill Bill 1 and 2, those are fucking fantastic. You know what? That should be on my fucking list. I'm not going to add it, but the whole bloody affair should be on my fucking list.
are we counting that as one movie?
The whole bloody affair? Yes,
Yeah.
I am.
Oh
I
man.
believe it's called Kill Bill: The Whole Bloody Affair. It's volume 1, volume 2. They're two parts of one movie.
All right. Okay. All right.
Let's put it this way. The argument is that it's a part 1 and a part 2, therefore 2 movies because it's volume 1, volume 2. Okay, fine. But if they're released as one film, does it count as one movie? And it has been
It
released
has been
as
released
one film.
theatrically. Yeah. Well, okay, that's one way to cheat it out. I'll take it. I'll accept a good cheat any day of the week.
It's it'll be my number 4. Because I just thought of it now, it'll be my number 4
Yeah. All
out
right.
of 3.
According to this, Kill Bill: The Whole Bloody Affair clocks in at 247 minutes. There you go. There you go. Whack.
Man, that
They
first
did not
half
take
is
that
so
on the road.
fucking good.
I
First half is
agree.
so fucking good.
I don't understand what happened in the second half. It drops way down in quality for me. What is your second movie, sir?
My second movie is going to be super obvious. But you know what? Fuck it. It's my list. I'll be basic if I want to. I don't drink pumpkin spice, so I'll have this. Avengers Endgame 2019. That
All right.
movie doesn't even feel like 3 fucking hours. It
Nope.
doesn't at all.
Sure
Part of that
doesn't.
I think is beautiful way in which it is broken up in tone and the way that things shift almost every 30 to 45 minutes. You get the emotions, you get some excitement, you get a little bit of reminiscing, but everything is flowing. Everything feels like it's leading to something. And what we get is spectacular. Now, of course, does it work on its own? Absolutely fucking not. It only really works because of everything that came before it. But keeping in mind of that, we're not talking about solo films. They don't happen in a vacuum. So Endgame, and it's the type of thing where I'm like, would I have understood if Marvel had stopped making these things after this? Yes. Do I think that they are going to be able to, with the Kang movie and Secret Wars, are they going to be able to live up to this? I doubt it. But man, do I want to fucking see them try. I
I'm
do.
still of the theory that they should have just let the Avengers go after that. MCU can continue. That's when they sort of started building up X-Men and Fantastic Four. Like you thought we couldn't do this again? Watch us do it again. And just start from round one and build all the way up to, whatever you do with the Fantastic Four, whatever you do with the X-Men. But yeah.
I wonder if people would have been any less picky with Phase 4 if it had been X-Men and Fantastic Four versus just other different characters or other new characters. You got Shang-Chi in there and a few others, and people
yeah,
were still pissy.
people were pissy.
Like they don't remember Phase 1 had no plan. Don't tell me Phase 1 had a plan.
No,
Phase 1 didn't have a fucking plan.
Phase One didn't have a
Not till
fucking plan.
Avengers.
Yeah, I think they might have had an idea, but they did not have a roadmap per se.
Yeah.
Or at least we didn't know that. Let me put it that way. They probably had something of a if this works, we might good. We didn't know that. They got that again, and we don't know it. It's the exact same circumstance. But anyways,
Yep.
Avengers Endgame is also one of my choices, so I'll just roll on. It really just plays like the Avengers greatest hits, the best ofs. You get Guardians of the Galaxy in there. You get Avengers 1 in there. You get Thor the Dark World in there. It retroactively makes Thor the Dark World almost a decent movie. You get all sorts of stuff in there.
Oh, that hurts. Oh, that hurts.
It really does play like the greatest hits of the MCU. And if you're one of those people that's like, this is my favorite artist and I can just get all his distilled or her all their still best joints on one album, one cut. That's what Endgame is, man. It's satisfying as fuck. I think the Iron Man death, it hit a lot of people hard. I think Cap gets his just desserts in his retirement. It's just a wonderful fucking movie. And he actually gave Nebula a little bit more to do than she'd had in previous movies. And I secretly am a huge Nebula fan. So yeah, that's it, man. I fucks with that movie heavy, and it's not secret anymore. It still opens up doors to it opened up doors for Falcon and Winter Soldier. It opened up doors to WandaVision with her grief and all that. It opened up to whatever they do with Gamora and Guardians 3. So there's still its ramifications are still being felt. Put it that way. Yeah, so there you go. What, sir, is your third film?
My third film, I wasn't sure what it was going to be when we started this episode.
And this is your first two are the two that I had you pegged for. I was like, I feel like he's gonna go RRR. I would put money on that, and I was iffy, but I thought you might go Endgame. This one I have no idea, so I'm bated breath.
Sweet. This one was I was just racking my brain as we were talking, and I was seeking inspiration through our discussion. And honestly, when we talk, as I said, for me, a good 3-hour movie is one where I don't feel the time, where something is going on through either the performance, through the narrative, through the spectacle, if there is one, where I sort of get lost in it. Because particularly with 3 hours of time, you need to sort of give yourself over to that. So with this one, could have been, if we were ranking them, could be 1, 2, or 3. It really doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah, that's how rankings work.
No, but I'm saying like it would fit for me. I wouldn't have an argument if it were my first, my second, or my third, is what I'm saying. Versus I'm giving these not in a ranked order, but just in an ordinal order. This is my first one, second one, third one. This could be either or. Anyway, Frank Darabont's 1999 film, The Green Mile.
The Green Mile.
I am a chicken shit.
Yes.
And thanks to The Shawshank Redemption and The Green Mile, I actually started reading some of Stephen King's stuff.
Welcome.
Yeah, I read Thinner before I saw the movie. I still haven't read It because, again, chicken shit, and I haven't read The Dark Tower, though I suspect it would be a little bit more my speed than horror oriented. But for those of you that aren't familiar with The Green Mile, it is a story about a prison guard. He runs the ward known as the Green Mile. It's where the prisoners go when they are on death row. And it's called Green Mile because the floor is a green color. Mm-hmm. Well, it's Tom Hanks as Paul Edgecombe, the guy who oversees everything, when a prisoner comes in, a man by the name of John Coffey, in this case played by Michael Clark Duncan, this may have been the first role I ever saw him in. And what a performance it is. I mean, Duncan is a lost talent. That is one I still grieve for his various performances. I can't remember actually if I saw this. Which one came out first, this or Armageddon? Because they're the same fucking year. No, Armageddon was the year before.
Armageddon's like 97, 98.
Is it 97?
Yeah,
okay, because he was in that. Yeah. He was in that. He's part of the team.
You see him with no lines in the background of Friday as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
it's been ages.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Say that. I apologize. I fucked up my line reading. Say that again. He's what?
He's the dude in the background, and the You Got Knocked the Fuck Out. He's one of the guys that's playing dice over by Red's bicycle when Debo uppercuts him.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn. See, that's how I should have responded.
First time. Armageddon 98, Green Mile 99. So he had a little bit of a run right there.
Right. But Armageddon, I also haven't seen in ages. Green Mile, I did watch about a year or so ago when they did their 4K restoration. WB released it, WB Pictures. It's a beautiful restoration, and the movie absolutely holds up. The movie positively holds up, beginning to end. You feel the drama, you feel the love, you feel the comedy that is involved. It is not a comedy. It just has comedic moments. Sam Rockwell's performance is still absolutely fucking devastating. Who is the guy that plays the asshole? Doug Hutchison. Doug
Mhm.
Hutchison. He plays the guard that just wants to hurt everybody. And Michael Clark Duncan sees that both he and Sam Rockwell's character get their just desserts. But it is strangely uplifting despite all of the sadness that's in it. If you haven't checked it out, cannot recommend it enough. It is
Cannot
phenomenal.
recommend it enough. I have only seen half of this movie. I was watching it. I don't remember what the circumstances were, but I had to turn it off, go do something. Never got back to it. I need to. Boop, there we go. Add that to my watch list. Yeah, yeah. What I saw was dope. Frank Darabont, man, showing promise there with his directing. Um, then we would go on to get his geniuses on The Walking Dead before that. Also decrepitated and went to shit. Yeah, good call on the Green Mouse there. My third one is no surprise to anybody. You talk about movies feeling their length, and how the good ones you get sucked into. The first time I saw this movie, absolutely. Now that I've seen it 15 or 20 times, I start to feel its length a little bit, but it is still absolutely fucking phenomenal of a movie. It is, of course, 1974's The Godfather Part 2.
Mm.
Yes, man, listen, I'm on record many, many times as saying The Godfather Part 1 is better than Part 2, but it's like column 1A and 1B. Absolute wonderful movie. The juxtaposition of the rise of Vito Corleone with the rise of his son a generation later, in back in the days, Sicily and New York, and then at the time, modernish Sicily, New York, the 50s, I do believe is what they're supposed to be set in 50s, 60s. And seeing how both of them decide how to lead. And Michael can't quite understand the fact that he knows he's not beloved, and he can't figure out why he does not command the love and respect that his dad got, because his dad ruled through respect and love and favors, whereas Mike rules through fear, and he cannot get that under his thick fucking skin. The losing of the soul of
It's like
Michael.
the whole thing's a tragedy or
It's like the
something.
whole thing's a tragedy or something like that. The losing of the soul of Michael Corleone is what this movie is all about, culminating with the order of the hit on his brother, who deserved it. So, yeah, I love this movie so much, man. Saw in theaters maybe like 6, 7 years ago. Remains a theatrical highlight to me. Senate committee, that whole plot kind of bogs things down a little bit, but even in that, you can see Michael's geniusness and deviousness all throughout it. It's great. It's just the only knock I will give that movie is that they sidelined Bobby Duvall in that movie. Wish he had more to do, but yeah, come on, it's The Godfather 2.
So I figured you were going to go with Seven Samurai or something like that. It's part of the reason why I didn't provide a list, is I was like, any of these could be Daryl's, and he gets mad at me when I say them. So
I have a list that I'm making on Letterboxd of my favorite 3 hour movies. Godfather Part 2 is number 2. Seven Samurai is number 4.
So close.
One that I need to go back and revisit, but 3 hours is a long time.
I need to fucking watch it. I bought it and I still haven't watched it.
I mean, there's a reason I haven't challenged you to it, because I think that's unfair to you. I know you got a whole lot of stuff, plate spinning and whatnot, and I feel like assigning you a 207-minute long movie is a bit much. It's a bit egregious. So look at your face. That's why I've done it, man. That's one you should just
No. I keep forgetting that it's that long. Something hit my inbox as like a restoration or something. I forget what, and I was reading about it. I was like, "Oh, this is really great." And then I look at the runtime and I went, "I don't have 4 days to watch this movie." Oh,
yeah. So that's it, man. Let's wind this bad boy down and talk about this here double blind. This is our
we
first.
went with a double blind movie that you financed. You sweet man, you.
Glad to do it, and would do it again at the drop of a hat, man.
Which is good, because as of this recording, rumor has it the Criterion is doing a flash sale, probably starting tomorrow. So don't check your shelves, Daryl. Just buy something.
You're just gonna get a middle of the year Christmas bundle of Daryl's fuck ups yet again.
If you want, I'll put together a list of what I own so that you don't buy those.
Yeah, I guess those get like passed down to Winstead after that. Our double fuck up list. Yeah, I got a
It's
little bit
something you're going to become notorious for.
got a little bit eager doing a Criterion Flash sale. Bought Notorious, Alfred Hitchcock's Notorious 1946. Did not realize that I already had a copy of Notorious, and I figured why not pass along these riches to my man Douglas Davison over here, and that
Thank you
way,
very much.
not a problem, man. Glad to do it. We have ourselves a little double blind because neither one of us had seen this film before. It stars our boy Cary Grant, man, one of the smoothest white dudes in Hollywood, and also Ingrid Bergman, who was just mm, and Claude Rains as well, the Invisible Man himself. What do you think about this joint?
Well, first of all, I realized after I watched the movie, I started thinking about it. I'm going to sleep. My brain's just going. And I realized if I want to put together a list of films I haven't seen, I should probably just write down all the movies mentioned in Science Fiction Double Feature, the opening theme song of the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Mm-hmm.
And I could probably just create, I haven't seen Triffitt that spits poison and kills. No idea. Invisible Man? Haven't seen that either. Like, it was just really funny to think about, particularly because with Notorious, we've got Ingrid Bergman and Claude Rains in a movie again, which because Casablanca had come out about 4 years prior to this, if I remember correctly. And I had just rewatched Casablanca apparently back in November when they WB released a 4K version of it. This was great. I don't have a wealth of knowledge with Cary Grant, with Ingrid Bergman, but apparently they were playing against type in this. And I am also not very well versed with Alfred Hitchcock. So it was interesting for me to get a sense of his work, but also to see these characters, these actors who I know are used to being like leading type characters, where they're good and moral and upstanding. They might be silly or they might be whatever, but they're usually not up to shenanigans that involve Nazis and plots to overthrow the American government in Brazil.
Yes.
So there's some stuff that is, for the time, I imagine, pretty remarkable. You're doing stories about Nazis in 1946.
Hitchcock did that in England, and he was like, "Fuck these Nazis! I got Selznick to worry about. Let me go ahead and get to work on writing these joints. Spy thriller type deal."
Sadly, we're looking at, what is it, 80, 40, 60 years later, we still haven't figured out Nazis are the assholes.
We figured it out, sir.
I mean, you and I have.
A long time ago.
You and I have.
Yeah, it seems like some of the public in general at large has not figured it out yet.
There's some aspects to this that perhaps because it's been so long since the film's been released that certain methods in cinema to build or generate tension sort of went, all right, I already know this language. It's already been used before or used so frequently since this release that I could already see where some stuff was coming from. But I loved the sort of the visual language that's going on, particularly with the keys. I loved the use of humor. The attention to detail was pretty interesting. And just watching these actors play, honestly, particularly knowing that, being told that they're playing against type when I've been hearing about them playing these gentle characters, if you will, and seeing this was sort of, Cary Grant plays shady pretty well. And he wasn't particularly shady. He was just like, he was pissed off about being in love with someone that he's in business with, and he wanted to make her feel shitty about it. And she was like, I know what my life is. I know who I am. You either love me or you don't, and I got a job to do to make sure I don't go to jail.
Yeah,
it was pretty fucking, like, we've seen that dynamic in modern stories, so it was pretty great.
It was pretty great. I would agree with all that. I thought Hitchcock was firing on all cylinders in this joint. It's just a dope fucking movie. Yeah, I'm used to Cary Grant, like the smooth, suave type, like the he'll walk into the room and panties just drop. That's not the Cary Grant you get in this movie. And from what I've seen of Ingmar Bergman, she is like, you will instantly fall in love with this woman, and that's not quite the character. She's got her own acerbicness, and
Mm-hmm.
bitterness all throughout. Still fell in love with her. I don't care. It's just great seeing these cats, like you said, play against type. I think at 103 minutes, this shit moves quick, man. And I think Claude Rains is also very good in this movie. My man just wants to find happiness.
I
uh,
did kind of feel bad for him. If only you weren't a Nazi fuck.
if only you
Like,
weren't a Nazi fuck, man. You could have been a decent dude, but you're not. It's yeah, man. If you're turned off by black and white movies or quote unquote old movies, still stuff they can teach you, man. There's still some good shit to be mined in there. All sorts of good shit to be mined in there. Go check out Notorious, man. If you're like Doug mentioned, Criterion Flash Sale is coming up. That might be the time to affordably do a blind buy. Check it out, and you might be surprised at what you get.
and if depending on when this releases, if the sale's not going on or you get to this after the sale has happened, do keep in mind that unless something changes, Barnes and Noble does do a Criterion 50% off sale every summer and every November. I say summer because sometimes it's in June, sometimes it's in July. It's a little hard to pin down, but they typically do have it in late October or November.
Yeah,
And
you
it's a
get
great time to what I frequently refer to them as film school, because one of the great things about the Criterions, Arrow Video is like this, 88 Films is like this as well. They come with these wonderful bonus features so that you're not just getting a restoration of a movie, but you also get to learn something about it. And special features, as we talked about at the beginning of this, Babylon deserved a deep dive, but whoever made the decision went, we don't have the money for this, so we're not going to make it. We're not going to support it. I've seen films that I've absolutely loved have no bonus features whatsoever, or maybe it's just a trailer. With something like a Criterion, you actually get something to learn, and so it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity. Take
it
it.
is. You get a sale a season is basically what it amounts to. You get Criterion in the spring. You get Barnes and Noble in the fall. I think you also get, I'm sorry, you get Criterion in spring. You get Barnes and Noble in the summer. You'll get another Criterion, I think, fallish, and then Barnes and Noble's like late fall.
There you go.
So yeah, there's opportunity to go and step up your physical medium game if you're a preserver like that. That's it, man. That's all I got for 82 of the Santa Mound. Do you have anything, Douglas, before we wrap this bad boy up?
I do not, except to say that there's so many great movies out there. If you are struggling to find something that interests you, take a chance. Find something that doesn't come to mind. Let it be a foreign film. Let it be a black and white film. Let it be an animated film. If it's not something you would normally watch, give it a try.
Give it a
You
try,
might
man.
find yourself with a new favorite.
You might find yourself in a new favorite. Of the 63 criterions that I have taken the time to rank,
Mhm.
I had already seen two, about five. I had already seen. All the rest have been blind buys. And for the most part, man, it's pretty fucking good. Criterion knows what they're doing. They kind of know what they're doing, man.
And
So go
I
ahead and check that out.
And I wish I had the time to watch their streaming app. I know this sounds like an advertisement for Criterion, but this month in particular, they've got a whole bunch of smartly Michelle Yeoh properties on there, and I've never seen the Heroic Trio. I'd like to see it. It's rumored that they're going to do a physical release. Where the fuck is it? Give it to me.
I watched one at work this morning, as a matter of fact.
What'd you watch?
It was kind of slow. One I'd already seen before. I pulled up Three Colors Blue and just had that playing while I was working earlier today.
Oh! I was like
Not
Michelle
Michelle
Yeoh.
Yeoh. No,
Sorry, I was
no,
like,
no.
she's in that
I just
because
pulled up the app and randomly selected something I'd already seen because I couldn't pay a whole bunch of attention to it. But yeah, man, get on it, man. That's it for 82 of the Cinnamon. We will theoretically be back about 2-ish weeks. I will be making a trip out to the Paprika Motherland next week. Sometime after that, we will be back at it, man. But that's it. 2 weeks from now, we'll be back. More good stuff for you right here on the Cinnamon. Take it easy.
the Cinnamon.